this video, I am going to show you how to draw the two major diagrams that we need to be familiar with in our firms and decisions analysis. So one is if I want to show an increase. Hang on, why is that? Sorry. Okay, so one is if I want to show an increase in revenue, total revenue. This means I will want to show an increase on both my MR curve and my AR curve. So this one, I would say arguably, right, in terms of drawing, this diagram that I'm about to show you in the next 5 minutes or so is the hardest to draw diagram in the entirety of H2 econs. Like, you need to actually practice your hand movement in order to draw this diagram. It's actually art, okay? So please draw with me, do exactly as I do, and use the same angles roughly as I do, okay? I will be setting a good example by using this ruler as always to draw. So I'm just going to set up my axes first. Obviously, please use a ruler to draw your axes. And I mentioned in the previous video, we will label this as price, cost, or revenue. And I'm going to use a shorthand Q, but please know that in exams, this is output, not quantity, okay, on this axis. So initially, my MC and MR are as follows. Usually, okay, when we show an increase in MR and AR, okay, in firms and decisions, almost all the time, I'm not just saying that demand increases. Not only does demand increase, but also demand actually becomes more price inelastic as well. So I show both simultaneously. Yeah, I really can't think of any situation in H2 econs that you want to show demand increase but PED stays the same. So I'm going to draw now my initial MR. No, let me use a different color. Initial MR and initial AR. Remember, your AR starts on the same point. Please make sure it originates from the same point as your MR, but this one is going to go a bit further out, okay? So let us label this MR0. This is my original MR. And I'm going to label this as initial demand is equals to initial average revenue. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in for a bit so that you can see it better. And then I'm first going to draw my AC and my MC. So two important things, people. Number one, I highly recommend you drawing your AC first. Because as you know from reading your lecture notes, very important in firms diagrams, my MC must intersect the AC at the minimum point of the AC, at the lowest point. So it's always easier to aim your pencil. By the way, please draw in pencil. It's always easier to aim your pencil if you draw your AC first. So I'm going to draw a AC. Don't draw a quadratic curve, please. It's meant to look a bit like a bow, a bit like that. And then my MC, I want to intersect AC at the lowest point of the AC, somewhere here. So I'm going to do a thick shape curve. Nice. Okay, now how do I label my profit? Okay, once again, my profit maximizing output is where MC equals to MR, right? So where is my MC equals to MR? It is here. So at this point here, I trace it down all the way until it hits this part. I label this output as Q0, okay? And then from here, I don't stop here. I said in the previous video, I extend this blue dotted line. I go up, all the way until I touch the AR curve. Okay, then only once I touch this curve, I'm satisfied. Then only I turn my ruler 90 degrees to the left. I extend this line all the way until this is now my price axis, P0. So that is how you label quantity and price. So I showed you that in the last video already. Now one more extension, okay? I'm going to teach you how to label your profit. So once again, we are going to focus on this vertical blue dotted line. Keep your eyes on this vertical dotted line, okay? What I'm going to do, my ruler is still horizontal, right? It's still at 90 degrees. I'm going to bring it down here. Do you see this point here where the blue dotted line touches the AC curve? Okay, you saw that point, right? So I'm going to move my ruler up to this point. Then from this point, I'm going to start another horizontal line originating from that point. Okay, and I'm going to extend it to the left. Label this C0, initial cost. Okay, so how you label price is you label from this vertical dotted line, I go all the way up to the AR curve, then I extend leftwards. How I label cost is this same vertical dotted line, I go up to my AC curve, then I trace leftwards. Understand? Okay, so what is my initial profit area? Initially, what is the revenue I collect? Revenue, we learned in chapter 2, demand and supply, is price times quantity. So price times quantity. This rectangle here is my initial revenue. My cost is just cost times quantity. This triangle here. So profit is just total revenue minus total cost. So my initial profit is going to be this blue shaded area over here. How I like to label it, right? Because I don't like to do so much shading in exams, I will label this point A and this point B. So my initial profit is going to be P naught A B C naught. Okay? So my profit initially is going to be at P naught A B C naught. Okay? Now, how do I show an increase in MR and AR? So it's the same as the demand factors that you are familiar with all the way from chapter 2. What are the demand factors? P, T, I, D, E. I trust that I don't need to go through with you, right? Basics, right? Okay, fantastic. So when demand increases, as I said earlier, when we're doing firms and decisions, every time we show demand increase, it's always demand become more price inelastic. So I don't need to show that very obviously, in the sense that obviously in this case, the angle you can see lah, obviously is elastic. I don't need to show inelastic until 这么夸张 lah, but I just need to show that it's just steeper lah in general. So very important, right? When you draw your new MR and AR, MR1 and AR1, it should be drawn exactly as follows. Please put your ruler now in the same place that I'm putting your ruler. My ruler, exact same place. So check, right? Initially, my MR and AR originate from this point, right? Now I want both these curves to originate from this point on top. Come, put your ruler here now. And then I want to angle it such that my new MR curve comes out in between the MR naught curve and the AR naught curve. Please ensure that your ruler is angled this exact way that mine is now. Okay, let me erase this first. It looks like we're in the way. I will deal with it later. Okay, please make sure that your ruler is angled in this exact way. And then I want you to take I hope you're drawing in pencil, but if you're drawing in pen, take a pen of a different color. I want you to draw this curve now. Okay, let me just put this label back. This is A. Yeah, this point here is A. Sorry. Yeah, this is why I really don't like this diagram, but yeah, A is here. Okay, so now this new curve is not your new AR, it's your new MR, MR1. Okay, and then your new AR is going to be, remember, originate from this same point. I'm going to turn it a bit outwards. Okay, and I'm basically going to just fit for. Yeah, and go like that now. AR1, which is equals to the new demand DD1. So you see, once again, when you are drawing this particular diagram, the only point at which your blue and your green line should intersect is here. So just do a visual check now of your diagram. At the bottom, your label should be MR0, MR1, AR0, AR1 in that order. Please make sure that your lines are correct. Now, I'm going to show you how to finish this diagram, and I'm also going to show you why I really don't like this diagram. Where is the new profit maximizing output? MC equals to MR1 is this point here, right? This point here. Okay? So from that point, I take a ruler, I move it horizontally, vertically, sorry. Vertically I go from this point where MC equals to MR1 and oh dear, sorry, and then I trace from here downwards all the way to the axis and I label this Q1. This is why I really don't like this diagram, because inevitably this labeling here will mess up your dotted line here. It is completely inevitable. Examiners understand it's okay to break a dotted line in half like that as long as it is clear. Once again, please do not go and draw multicolored pens in your exam. Cambridge scans your scripts and they see your script in black and white. Understand? Okay. So yes, this is why I really don't like this diagram, because trust me, I've tried every way imaginable to get around this particular labeling problem. There doesn't seem to be a way. But please make sure that you have drawn your lines the same way that I have by making sure your MR1 comes out in between MR0 and AR0. Okay? That is what's most important. If it's not this same way that I've drawn it, then your diagram is totally not correct anymore. Okay? Your labeling a bit ugly is still correct. Your lines drawn wrongly but your labeling very nice is still incorrect. Okay? So, getting back to the diagram, I'm going to now extend this dotted line all the way up to my AR1 curve. Sorry, I shifted the ruler a bit by accident. So I touch my AR1, then only I swivel to the left. This is my price, P1. And then how do I find my cost? Once again, this green vertical dotted line, instead of finding the point where it touches the AR curve, I find the point where it touches my AC curve. So that is going to be this very, very messy junction here. Yes. Hello? Sorry, my OneNote is lagging. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at my laptop. Sorry. Yeah, I should definitely do videos on my iPad more often. It betrays me less often. Let me just pause the recording until I get this lag issue sorted out. Yes, so from this point over here, this point, I trace to the left one more line. I shifted the ruler, sorry. Yeah, so I trace to the left one more line, and this is going to be C1. Okay? And like I said in the previous video, I do not like to use the terms, or rather, I do not like to use the label C in firms like this because there's already C here, C here. So I don't want to confuse myself. I will label this D, and I will label this very, very messy point over here E. So therefore, profit, when demand increases, MR and AR will increase. Profit increases from P not A, B, C dot to this new larger rectangle here, P1, D, E, C1. And to do a final check, make sure the diagram is correct. Make sure that on this axis, I have P1, P0, C0, C1 in this order. And lastly, please check that your Q1 is indeed larger than your Q0, as it is supposed to be. Okay, so congratulations, you have learned how to draw the hardest, technically, allow me to rephrase, you have just learned to draw the technically most challenging to draw diagram in the entirety of H2 economics. Please give yourself a round of applause. And you can see, number one, not only because of here, but also because of this very, very messy junction here, why I really don't like this diagram. But please know that these are inevitable consequences of drawing such a messed up diagram. That's why I really, really don't like this diagram. This is my least favorite diagram, actually. I still do dread drawing this diagram in exams. Okay, but please check your axes, the labeling, check that your Q0 is below Q1, check that your lines MR0, MR1, AR0, AR1 are in this order, and you know that as ugly as your diagram is, it is technically correct and economically correct as well. Okay, have fun. Thank you. Bye bye.